Okay, so as you can see, I have a star-studded lineup next to me. Right to my left, in the 1990s when Indian football was looking for a savior, there was this boy from a tiny little village in Sikkim who emerged out of nowhere. Over the next 20 years, he became India's most capped player. He became captain of the Indian team, and now he's just going to take over as the head of the technical committee of the All Indian Football Federation, which is great because we need former sportsmen to give back to sport. Please welcome Mr. Baichung Bhutia.
Thank you.
The person to his left, when he was playing cricket for India, was always regarded as a one-day specialist, which I always found funny, and a lot of people did, because he brought a certain, a few things to spin bowling that actually were for all seasons. He had great turn, he wasn't scared to give the ball flight, and he had a very surprising faster one, which got a number of wickets actually in one-day cricket. So, so please welcome from Delhi, Nikhil Chopra. And we could tell from all the oohs and ahs who that person on the extreme left is. Brett Lee has this wonderful smile and this great charm of the field which actually hides what lies underneath. This lethal fast bowler who wants to knock your head off. He's taken 690 wickets in international cricket, and now he belongs to Kolkata. Okay, I'm going to start with you, Brett, because, I was in Australia during the series when we were down there, and we were getting hammered every day. And every time I would go to a restaurant or a pub, your local Aussies over there would look at me and just to good-naturedly rile me up, say, not watching the cricket, mate. So, we have a question for Brett Lee now after this series. Been watching the cricket, mate?
Well, firstly, hello. Bit better Hindi, so namaste. Very nice to be here, but yeah, look, the Australians haven't been playing their best cricket, but you can't take credit away from India. India have been playing some beautiful cricket, and to win 4-0 on this environment over here, which is tough for the Australians to come over and play, but they've done an extremely good job.
But surely this wouldn't have been the result had you been in the team.
No, I can't say. Look, it's obviously been challenging for the guys to come over here. The Australian cricket team that are present have, tried their hardest, have tried their best, but they were simply outplayed by the Indians. And as I said, you sort of can't take that away from the Indian players. They've been phenomenal with the way they've played over the past 2 months.
Okay, I'm going to ask Nikhil because he remembers a rainy afternoon in Sydney when his Indian team got bowled out for almost 100 with you, firing on all cylinders. Nikhil, do you think things would have been different had Brett Lee been on this tour?
Oh, absolutely. We played the series on tracks that were turning from day one, but not because Brett is sitting next to me, but airspeed is airspeed, Kunal. On even these tracks, when you're bowling at about 148, 149 kilometers an hour, airspeed is airspeed, and we used to get that ball to reverse swing as well. I'm sure, maybe the results wouldn't have been different, but he most certainly would have made those victories a little more difficult, I'll tell you that. And I remember that afternoon from Sydney. Why? Because after it had rained a little bit, and I think it was Brett Lee's initial years, 99, when he broke into the international circuit, we got bowled out for about 120 odd runs. I was batting at number 7, went to bat. The first 3 deliveries, pitched, left me, and on the other end, I remember there was Samir Dige batting with me. He says, mate, try and keep your bat down, the ball's past you. So that's how quick he was.
I couldn't hit the stumps though.
There's an interesting story about Nikhil as well. A lot of people don't know, but he's not really the first star in the family of his generation. His brother Vikram shared a room with Shah Rukh Khan in Fauji, the series that made him a star, and he had this very famous line, he would say, I say chaps, before everything else. A few people remember that. So Nikhil, how did spin bowling happen to you? You used to be a tennis player.
Well, talk about destiny, born in Allahabad. I used to play tennis for UP, under 10s, under 11s, and that's when the family decided that we needed to move to Delhi for better education. And my father, being a torchbearer for the '64 Olympics, and he was a coach for volleyball from the NIS Patiala. And at that time, at the National Stadium, there was our coach, Gurcharan Singh. He also apparently did his coaching course from the NIS Patiala. And Dad was taking us to, my elder brother and me, to the National Stadium, to the tennis academy. And that's when he met him. He says, why are you putting the boys in tennis? Put the boys with me, with cricket. And that's how I started playing cricket at the age of 12. And I used to bowl medium pace, a little bit, bowl some in-swingers. I don't know what happened to Sir. 1 year into coaching, he says, I think with the kind of bowling action that you've got, you never know, you have a better chance of succeeding if you start bowling off spin.
Basically, you didn't want to work hard enough to be a fast bowler.
Well, put it this way, you can't keep running around the track all day long, trying to keep fit. I think bowling spin and batting is a better option.
Okay, but however dramatic your stories may be, Oak Flats Rats for Brett Lee and Allahabad for you, nothing can be as dramatic as the rise of Bai Chung over here. I mean, he grew up in a tiny town in the shadow of the Kanchenjunga, and he started playing football there, and he's now, Tinkitam's little Buddha. The way, what he's done for that place. So, Bai Chung, when you were playing there in that little village, did you ever think that one day you're going to go and play professional football in England?
No, I don't think any child would think, but now, yes. But I think it's more passion and love for the game. That's what it made me play football. And place where I grew up in Sikkim, that was 80s, as a small boarding school boy. And it was only football that was being played around. So every villages you went, every town you went, and you just played football. So I think that was the main reason. The environment was so big, it was the sport, and naturally also I fell in love with the game. So yes, as a kid I always wanted to play for country, but I think when you're just a kid, you just want to play. Given any moment, you just want to go and kick the ball. So
no, but I've always wanted to ask you this. How much better were you than the people you were playing with? How many goals did you score in every match when you were playing, with the kids in the village?
It wasn't like that. I think, from the time I started studies, at the age of 4 plus, I was into boarding school. So I've spent most of my time in boarding school. So I was always with friends and playing around. Whichever tournament, through school tournaments we had, underage tournaments we had, we had a good team as well. So it's very unfair to say that I was scoring all the goals. I had some good players as well, but most of the time I did get best player in the tournament. So
that's not a surprise. but tell me, see, when you started playing football, it was popular where you were, but it wasn't as popular as it is in India now. Thanks to the European League that we get to see on television every day. I'm sure in this crowd we have lots of Manchester United fans and Chelsea fans, Liverpool fans. I'm an Arsenal fan. I don't know why, but I am. So, do you think this is good for Indian football that people are watching all this, or do you think it's bad because what they're seeing on TV, what they see live will never compete with that?
I think it's got good and bad points to it. The good point is that a lot of the kids would now, idolize David Beckham or Wayne Rooney or Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi, and they would, seeing them play, I think they do come out of the house and go and play football. So that's a very positive sign. And number of kids now playing football is more than what, 15, 20 years back. When I started playing football, I think I had no stars. It was just local stars I used to idolize. And they were not the best example in Sikkim because, for me, every time I went, I could only watch the tournament in Sikkim. And, for me, the local players in that tournament were the big names. And I had few cousins who were playing. But, they were just playing and there were no future. And they were not, education-wise, they were not doing well. But they were just good footballers and they were popular. So that was one thing I really idolized because these guys were known everywhere by, even whenever they walked anywhere in the town in Sikkim, they were known. So those were my idols. But I think important thing is when you watch European matches now with I-League as well on telly, I think you just have kids playing, kids going out and not just watching, and kids going out and playing. So number of kids that's going to play is very, very important if football has to improve. So more kids playing, more talent might come out. So that's one positive side. The negative side is, yes, I think it takes away all the glamour and hard work and everything that Indian football is trying to put on. All the kids are just becoming fans of Man U and Arsenal and Barcelona.
Think that, these guys are not...
I think it's important that we need to get those kids becoming fans of United Sikkim and Mohun Bagan and other clubs. But I think you need to have good results. So national team, the Indian national team has to do well in terms of, if football has to grow. So unless until the national team doesn't do well in international matches, it becomes very, very difficult.
So I think as technical committee head, this is something that these are issues that you should look at once you take over.
I think the biggest issue for us would be to work on youth development. I think, if you want to get results, how would you get results? It's only when you produce good players. And how do you produce good players? Is through a strong youth development system. Sadly, in India, we have 14 I-League clubs right now. And none of the 14 I-League clubs are very serious into doing a grassroots level. Today, you talk of biggest players in the world from Barcelona. You talk of all the big stars. Iniesta, Xavi,
10 years old.
Iniesta, Xavi, Messi, they're all product of Barcelona. But today, if you look at the Indian national team, not many players and the clubs are very proud of to say that this particular player is a product of my club.
Yeah,
None. I think out of 11 players who's playing on the first 11, I think not even one player, any club would say, this is the player we brought it, we spotted him young and we made him into a national star.
Brett, you've taken a new role as well. You're going to become the mentor of the Kolkata team. See, there was this time when Australia was sending coaches out all over the world. You're the country that sort of transformed how cricket is going to be played through the computer. But, recently there was this incident when, you had to send 3 players back because of disciplinary reasons. There's fight between the coach and the players. People are not seeing eye to eye. Do you think there's been over-technicalization of cricket? And do you think we need to get back to how cricket was played? Run in, bowl hard, spend hours in the nets, and don't worry so much about what's happening on the computer?
Yeah, exactly. Look, I do believe that I'm a bit old school. I know that when it comes to soccer or football, it's about kicking footballs, kicking soccer balls. With golf balls, golfers spend hours and hours and hours of hitting balls, whereas cricket, you might get into the nets and have only 8 minutes to bat or 20 minutes to bowl. So I believe sometimes that with the whole technology around that, it can actually influence in a bad way on the way that people are trying to improve their cricket. I still believe that bowlers need to bowl many, many hours in the nets over a period of time. Batsmen need to hit a lot of balls. And I also think too that sometimes that with things in place and there's 10, 12, 13 different players and people now around the Australian cricket team that have all got a job to do behind the scenes, I think sometimes can be quite crowded. So there's that balance. I know also too that you've got to have if I'm bowling, I'd like to go and look at the sort of footage of me bowling and to see what the action's doing, what the wrist is doing when I actually let go of the ball, that type of stuff. So, there is time and a place for it, but there's a happy medium. I also think that guys have got to get out there and just do the hours in the nets.
So do you think there's been a little over-theorization? And do you think that needs to change?
Well, the thing is, with what's happened in the last couple of weeks too, if Australia was winning, then we wouldn't be sitting here talking about all that type of stuff. We'd be saying that the technology
about the assembly line
is fantastic, it's brilliant, everyone's happy. It's only when you run to the pump and things aren't going your way that you look for excuses. But as I said, I'm a bit old school. I like to get in the nets and just do the hard work in the cricket nets. And to answer the first part of your question, yeah, I'm so excited to be a bowling mentor now for KKR. When I was asked to do the job and asked for that role, I jumped at that opportunity. So it's sort of it's a strange one because I'm still playing for Calcutta, and I'm also going to be a bowling mentor, which I've always enjoyed doing without the title. Now it's a bit different. You've got the title there, but I'll try and help the young guys coming through and pass on the knowledge that I've learnt.
While we're on the subject of KKR, there's a message that we'd like to play a surprise message from somebody from your team. Can we put it on, please?
It gives me great pride to go into the tournament as the defending champion. But none of this would have been possible without your support and wishes. It is all of you guys who makes KKR what it is. And it is all of you guys who make our country, our society, a pride. I can only say one thing, that sports not only builds victories and titles, it also builds characters, which then helps to build a country a better place. So keep supporting KKR, keep supporting your country, and be proud to be an Indian. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great message from a great man, our captain, and I guess my message to him is I'd like to bat at number 8 this year, so I wish.
That's not going to happen. Yeah, not with your extended duties as well. So Brett, how's the KKR experience been? Do you enjoy Calcutta?
Look, it's great. I was trying to work out how many times I've actually been to India. I was over here, I went home for about a week. I was over here filming for about 5 weeks, just gone. And I think I've been to India close to 60 odd, 70 times, I think, between 60 and 70 times. It's a lot. But I do love coming back, and people back home always ask me, what is it about India that you love? It's the people, it's the culture, it's...
I think it's the batsmen.
It's the organised chaos when you go to a cricket field. I mean that in a very nice way. Like, I don't know, it's just... I first came to India in 1993 and just fell in love with the place. I love the whole culture. I guess that the Indian culture is they're very close to their parents. They love their mum and dads, and I'm also the same. And with an older brother who has also played for Australia, I've got a younger brother too that should have, and probably was better than both of us put together. But we're very close to our parents. And I guess that's the link that I've got with the Indian culture. And yeah, I've loved every single moment. But in terms of Calcutta, we had a great year last year. We took it out. I'm not sure how many people here are local. I know there's a few, I guess, from Mumbai and from Delhi. Yeah, is that right? Are we all locals? Or we don't know? No. All KKR? Yeah. KKR jet to go, hopefully, yeah. But look, it's a wonderful franchise to be involved in. When you got Shah Rukh Khan, who's the boss, and the King Khan, it's always a good leader. And my dance moves haven't improved, unfortunately, in the last, probably 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, that's great.
Keep it that way.
But if you talk too much about that, we'll actually make you stand up and do a...
There won't be dancing, no way.
Nikhil, what do you remember of Brett? You talked about the ball not coming down to the bat enough, but as an analyst after that, how do you remember him as a bowler? He played only 76 tests, which is nothing for an Indian test player, but he got 310 wickets, and people felt he could have done a lot more. He braved through all the injuries to do that.
Well, without a doubt, with the kind of ability, the kind of potential, of course, Brett Lee and I felt that, he's one man who's probably going to break all records, and records that would probably be to stay for a long period of time. That's the kind of bowler that we all perceived. From this side of the dressing room, you'd always had team meetings. How do you, in a one-day international, look to counter-attack his 10 overs, or, when's the best period to say, well, he's going to come back in the second spell, probably not to give away too many wickets, but on behalf, on the side of Bradley, it's unfortunate that he fell to injury so many times, because that took probably a big toll. And then I remember that after the last elbow injury, I think he came back. He wasn't playing Test cricket. He started playing just the one days, and he's without a doubt probably as and when he played is force to reckon with. And I'm sure for KKR he's going to be another force to reckon with. Like he says, he always liked to lead from the front when he had the new ball in hand, and now that added responsibility has been given to him as the mentor, I think he's going to come up in flying colours. I won't be surprised that he'll be picking up wickets by the heaps full in the IPL. And I wish him all the very best.
Okay, talking of leading from the front, nobody's done that better than Baichung in Indian sport, perhaps, over the last 2 decades. Baichung, I.M. Vijayan once called you God's gift to Indian football. What do you have to say to him in return?
I think it was very nice of him to say that, but I don't know if I really deserve that. For me, over the last 16 years I played for the national team. I've not played anyone better than I.M. Vijayan for sure. And I feel sorry that, the talent like him got just wasted and didn't get that opportunity to just go abroad. What I or Sunil Chhetri did get.
Yes.
I think one player that could have really made a difference, I think, getting abroad with trials would have been I.M. Vijayan. But sadly, I also felt that, those days when I just came in early, they were senior players and I was just junior. But I think the guidance for, players, I didn't feel that they were getting into the right direction. The professionalism was missing. And I think that kind of, there was not right kind of, because the European football was not in India. There were no talks of players going abroad, trying to play abroad, and people surrounding players at that time. I think it was just club officials in Calcutta, and only I think those days only Kolkata really dominated football, not Goa or anywhere else. So I think the right support if he had got. He had the talent because he was a complete footballer, and I felt that the talent what he had was just wasted. I think in India because
Probably
he was one player. I felt that he would have definitely made
change all that in Indian football.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I have a very simple question. Who wants to ask Brett Lee a question? Who wants to hear Brett Lee play the guitar?
I think we'll take the first option.
Just a few bars. There's one
Go on,
right
Brett. You're sitting right next to the guitar. Go on. Be a good sport.
When you got experts behind me, this bloke on the drums got more rolls than a bakery, so we'll let him do the job. But he's doing a good effort. Nah, there'll be no guitar playing today, unfortunately.
Okay, so let's start with the questions, and maybe he'll change his mind in a bit. Question right here from this lady over here.
Good afternoon, I'm Vidushi. My question for Brett Lee is that there was a time when Australia with Ricky Ponting, you, Matthew Head, and everybody ruled the entire cricket world. Now there has been a downfall. Just in 2 words, 3 words, what is the main reason for this downfall in Australian cricket?
Look, very, very good question. I guess the best way to answer that question is that I was very lucky. I played in such a wonderful era. To think of those guys that you mentioned: Ricky Ponting, Matthew Hayden, Justin Langer, Adam Gilchrist, Shane Warne, Glenn McGrath, Damien Martin, just to mention a few, is a pretty decent Australian cricket team. But also what happens too is that you get to the stage where a lot of the senior players move on. I've moved on, Ricky Ponting's moved on, Mike Hussey, Mr. Cricket's moved on just in the last 12 months. So you get to a stage where Australia now is going through a rebuilding stage. So it's going to take time. It's actually going to take a lot of time for us to get back to where we want to get back to. Not saying that we can't. I do believe that with the right coaching staff, with the team belief that they have, that Australia can get back to number one. But it's a transitional phase which might take some time. So we have to be patient, and we have to realise that when we normally throw the ball to the great Shane Warne to come on and clean up the tail and take those vital wickets, we haven't got that luxury anymore.
Well, just going ahead with that question, if I may, Brett, you talk about that Australia is going through this transition phase, you're going through this rebuilding phase, but just from the outside, from the other side, when you looked at Indian cricket, there was that era when you of course still have Tendulkar playing, you had Saurav Ganguly, Rahul Dravid, Virendra Sehwag, Kumble, Harbhajan, legendary figures in international cricket. But as a team, in comparison to Australia, when Australian cricket dominated over a long period of time, India, after having so many legendary figures in their ranks, we've never been able to go out there and actually dominate world cricket for a long period of time. Why do you see that?
That's a tough one because the thing that we had with the Australian cricket team is that we're very tight, and you can have 11 of the best players in world cricket, but you mightn't have the best team, and that's the thing. I think what's been really good for Indian cricket of recent time is the Indian Premier League. I know that people think, well, it's a hit and a giggle, it's 20 overs of fun, but what that's done is it's actually mixed the Indian culture with a lot of overseas players. We are now seeing from both ends, the Indian players are getting used to how the Australian players warm up, what our mindset is going into a match. We're now, watching Gautam Gambhir. I know what he does prior to going out to bat, which I would never have a clue if I didn't play in the same team as him. So I think that's been a real benefit for Indian cricket. But I don't really know the answer to when you've got guys that you mentioned and Sachin Tendulkar at the peak of his game when he's out there scoring hundreds, that Indian cricket should be number one all time. So look, I'm sure that with their last 4-0 drumming over Australia, I think it's going to put them into a really, really good stead. Yeah, but going back to Sachin, I'd love to see Sachin play for another 10 years. I mean, it's good enough, definitely. Roll him out until he's 50.
Okay, question out back from the gentleman in the grey.
Good afternoon, sir. My question is, with the incoming of the new forms of game T20, I would like to ask that, sir, according to you, which form of game is the best? Is it the T20 or the ODI or the Test matches?
T20
And why,
ODI,
sir?
yes.
Which form of game is the best? Look, I love playing 2020 cricket. I think when I was playing all three forms of the game, there was nothing better than walking out and putting on the baggy green cap, playing for your country, wearing white and challenging yourself, because what Test cricket is, it's a test of character, a test of courage, a test of time, and you can get yourself back into the game if you've been outplayed in 2 or 3 days. One day cricket's a shorter version of that, and then you've got 2020 cricket. And I think what 2020 cricket has done is actually, it's brought on a lot of young guys coming through now, and there's actually been a really good pathway to lead them into further cricket, to play Test cricket. If I have to pick right now, I'd probably say 2020 cricket because I'm still playing it, and I love it. And I've got the attention span of a mouse, so it's over in 3 hours, which suits me perfectly.
And you can probably get up and bowl 4 overs even 10 years from now. So.
Well, I'm not sure at 10 years, but let's just get through this next 12 months and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, okay. Okay, who has a question for Baichung now? Yeah, right here.
Does induction of foreign players in Indian football improves our football or deteriorates it?
Good question.
I think the number of players in the starting 11 is very, very important. So at the moment, I feel that we've got right number of players. We've got 3 foreign players in starting 11. So that for me is okay. We are allowed to sign 4 players and 1 foreign player on the bench. So I feel that we should sign only 3 foreign players and have either 2 or 3 playing in. So it's important that you need to have foreign players in the team because the experience, the quality they bring is very, very important. And at the same time, I think it's also important that any club signing foreign players, we need to sign good quality foreigners. Because I think at the end of the day, I think we want our players to get influence, our players to learn so much about from the foreign players because they bring in that experience and that professionalism which I think in India, in terms of football, we still lack. So the number of foreigners we have in the team and playing in the first 11 is very, very crucial. And at the moment, I think we've got right number match. So I think it's important to have.
Okay, next question back there.
Hi, this is Sarvesh from ISEC. It goes to all 3 of you. How difficult is it to carry Baichung Bhutia, Nikhil Chopra and Brett Lee as a person and as a sports star? Balance it, rather.
Well, as a sportsman, I guess when you are playing, the important thing was once you're on the field with international cricket, every day, each time you go out there, perform well, with the kind of video analysis that is now, you need to come back to the ground, try and work on your skill levels. Because don't forget, every time the opposition is always looking to gain one up on you. And as a person, I guess, once you taste success, the more grounded you need to be. I guess because if you start walking on cloud 9, that's your escalator going down. So it's very important which every little success that you taste, it just tells you to work a lot harder. And you've got to be as humble as possible. Because that is what is going to take you further in life. You can't be on cloud 9 as soon as you taste success.
Brett, the Australian team, right from the 70s is famous for this work hard, party harder sort of attitude, perhaps me and Chappell's time till down. Did your team have that in it as well? Because when you were the Invincibles at one point, did you actually sort of unwind the same kind of zest that you put into your work ethic?
Yeah, we did. I think also it's important that you reward yourself when you've done well. To us, it was all about, me personally, when I walk onto the cricket field, I want to make sure that I've trained harder, I've bowled smarter or harder than anybody else that I'm playing against. So even though that I'm not destined to succeed on that particular day, I know that the odds are in my favour, that I've done all the hard work, that the rest will take care of itself. Now, there's no point doing all that hard work and all that those hours and hours of training if you also can't enjoy yourself. Now, whether that means you want to go down and have a water or you want to have a cold beer somewhere, that's fine. It's up to the the individual person. But I'm all for it's the same. The reason why we're here today. It's about building and breeding success. It's about being positive. I know that me growing up, when I was 17, when I broke my back, the doctor told me that I wouldn't be able to bowl ever again in cricket, and I sort of wasn't cocky. I sort of laughed at him and said, "Well, that's not going to happen. That's not what I plan to do in my future. I want to play for Australia and be one of the world's fastest bowlers." And I had to work very, very hard at doing that. So if someone says to you that you can't achieve something, well then you don't have to laugh at them, but you can sort of pretty much go back and say, well, I don't really agree with that, and I'm actually to prove you wrong and actually work really, really hard. And about being humble as well, it's just the way that you've been brought up by by your family. You just got to enjoy life. And me playing cricket, when I walk out of that cricket field, I think I'm a different person as I am to now. Whether that's good or bad, you just walk out of that field and you want to go there and play that the hardest you possibly can.
Oh, there's a question right here from Mr. Bagga.
This is for Brett. Why do you Aussies sledge, yeah? Listen, hang on.
Why?
Cricket is a gentleman's game. Why sledge? Play the game in the right spirit.
I think you like to use the word sledging. We call it gamesmanship. And it's about being witty. It's about you're trying to outsmart your opponents. No, but look, on a serious note, there is stuff that is set out on the cricket field, and we know that there's a line in the sand that you don't cross. And I don't believe in racial vilification. I don't believe in swearing at your opponents. You can have a laugh though. There's been plenty of times when I was playing against VVS Lakshman one day in Perth, and we're very, very good close mates off the field. And he was batting, and I was bowling a few bounces, and he kept the balls going past his nose. And I walked down to him and I said, with no emotion on my face, I said, "I just worked out what your name stands for." He looked at me and said, "Very, very scared." And he instantly laughed. The commentators think that we're having a sledging contest, but it wasn't the case. And it's not always what you think on TV. And we know for a fact that there's one person in the world that you don't say a word to, and that's the great Sachin Tendulkar. You do not say a word.
Don't sledge Sachin. You do not sledge him.
No, don't sledge him. Just bow and and try and bowl the ball.
VVS Lakshman at Perth and VVS Lakshman in Kolkata are two different propositions. You do not sledge him in Kolkata.
Lakshman, playing in Australia, I think averaged about 150. He got 100 on every single ground, and
there was that 160 at Sydney, which was just.
Yeah, I know. You'd sort of bowl the ball and off stump and you'd hit you through covers. You bowl the ball and off stump, you hit you behind point. You bowl the ball and off stump and you whip you, behind square.
It's magic. Okay, we've just two more questions. Okay, last question. Right there, right next to you.
This is for Mr. Bhutia. Well, my question is that most of the youngsters are more inclined towards foreign football much more than Indian football. They would prefer to watch a Barcelona-Manchester match than a East Bengal Dempo match. How do you look at it?
Which is actually what we just talked about.
Yeah, I think everybody wants quality, and when they're watching TV, they want a quality football going on, and obviously there are a lot of things which we in India has to do work for Indian football. And one of them being is obviously producing good quality players. At the same time, there are a lot of disadvantages going against football here in India itself. Even in Calcutta, the matches are played 2 o'clock. Now, one of the I-League match today is being played at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's very difficult to bring in a good quality game out of players as well. But at the same time, fans watching it in the stadium or television won't get to see good quality matches. So I think it's important that the ground itself they play on, the turf which they play on has to be quality. The timing makes a big difference. And on the whole, the quality of the players. So I think these are things which we have to work on. And unless that doesn't happen, anybody is bound. Even I switch the channel off and watch Arsenal versus Man U play. So even I do that. So I think it's very important that we need to bring in quality.
Okay, I'm trying to make eyes at Brett Lee in the meantime to convince him to play just few bars for us, but he's refusing.
Well, Brett.
Yeah, well, I would, but we've actually run out of time. I've actually got the training. That's true.
No, we got plenty of time.
No,
just go on, Brett.
I do
This
have to go,
is
guys.
for Kolkata.
Yeah.
Go on. This is for Kolkata. This is for your new job as a mentor. Go on.
We'll leave it to the experts. But look, I just want to finish by saying it's been an absolute pleasure to be here today. Congratulations to Mine Rocks. It's a wonderful concept. It's all about belief. I think that when you're going through life, it's you just got to challenge yourself every single day. Don't be complacent. Don't be happy with what you've achieved in life so far. You just got to get out there, be prepared to do the hard work because no one else is going to do it for you. So. Well done, congratulations, have a great year, and we want to see every single one of you down at Calcutta watching the boys, and hopefully KKR can win it again, but it's been a pleasure, so thank you very much.
So big thank you once again to Baichung Bhutia, Nikhil Chopra and Brett Lee. He has to rush for training, so we're not going to keep him for much longer.
And before he goes, just a quick token of appreciation from our side. Can I call upon Group CEO, India Today Group, Ashish Paga, to give a small token of our appreciation. One last time, a huge round of applause. Alright, the problem in front of you guys is how many guys would you want to mob? Because either you can mob Brett